Upper Echelon is brought to you by Deloitte. For innovative thinking and thorough strategic planning, turn to Deloitte. Well, JJ Njeke is with us in studio, not a gentleman from Deloitte, but indeed the accounting profession overall. Yeah, I was so interested reading back through your history and where you come from, that you went to Fort Hare University, studied your BCom there, and then went into the accounting profession with PricewaterhouseCoopers in Mthatha. So presumably you're from the Eastern Cape.
Yes, I am from the Eastern Cape, Alec.
And the decision to go into accounting as a profession?
Actually, it's a strange one because in my junior degree, I actually majored in industrial psychology. But one of my lecturers met me after I had completed my degree. And at that time, I was working for the Office of the Auditor General in Mthatha. And I think I was at a career crossroads. I didn't know exactly what to do. And he said to me, I think you were good in accounting, so go and try one of the audit firms. And at that stage, Professor Wiseman Kuhlu was with a firm in Mthatha, and he kindly accepted me. And that's how I got into the accounting profession. But yeah, it is a funny one, because if this chap had not met me and encouraged me, I don't know what I would be today.
And Professor Nkutlu and you went quite a long road further, of course, with Metropolitan and I suppose now MMI.
Yes, I think to many of us, who particularly come from the black community, as you know, Professor Nkutlu was the first black chartered accountant. And I had the privilege, of working in his firm. And he's somebody that I admired because he came from the same community, and I could identify with some of the challenges that he faced. And he was somebody who greatly encouraged us, to make sure that we qualify. And yes, I think I've continued to have a relationship with him. In fact, at one stage, he was also the chairman of Kagiso Trust Investments when I was still the managing director there.
Well, if you think about it, in one lifetime, to work closely with someone like Professor Nkutlu and then closely with Eric Malobi, the late Eric Malobi, that's doubly blessed.
I think I am doubly blessed in that way, because these are really great individuals. Eric Malobi actually had a remarkable impact on me. I met him when I was still at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I happened to do the audit of Kagiso Trust. And out of the blue one day, he said to me, we're looking for a CEO of a company that we're about to establish, and I think you will make a good candidate. And in fact, I had never run a business. I was just an auditor. And he had faith in me and a number of us who were, I think, young professionals at that stage.
Tell us a bit about your relationship with Eric.
As I say, I used to do the audit and Eric of Kagiso Trust at that stage, and Eric was the chief executive of Kagiso Trust. And when the trust wanted to establish an investment company in 1994, he approached me. And as I say, I had no experience. I had never run a business before, but he had faith in me, and he said, no, I think you'll do a good job.
What I mean there is more of, he is a man of great integrity. He was a man of great integrity, great values.
Great values. In fact, if there is one thing about him, it was his humility. Because Eric, knew up to the state president, of this country. But it was not something that he would go about, talking and expressing to many people. And the other thing is that he taught us to value people. And I think the other thing is that he trusted. If he worked with you, he gave you complete independence, and if you made mistakes, he would encourage you. And say, no. We all learn from our mistakes. Carry on. I think you will do good in future. And that is one thing. I worked with Eric. From when we established the company in 1994 until he passed away in 2006. And I must say I had a tremendous time working with him.
Those values still in your life?
I think so. I learned something about, that in business, you must also have a good value system. Because, I mean, one thing at Kagiso, we were not only driven by money. I mean, obviously, I mean, we wanted to maximize value for our shareholders. But also, if a business or something did not fit into our value system, we would not do it. In fact, if you look back, I mean, Kagiso never invested in microlending, never invested in the gaming industry, never invested in any of the things that are harmful to people. I mean, even in the alcohol business, nothing in armaments, because those were things that, I mean, both the trustees of the trust and the directors, I mean, who come from the trust, instilled on us that we cannot be associated with anything that is not good to humankind. And obviously, I mean, I must say, it probably was unique to us as a company that we could stray away from those particular investments. But it was part of our value system.
And remains.
And I think it remains. Well, I'm no longer, I mean, at Kagiso today, but I can tell you, I mean, during my 16 years there, I mean, that was something. And we also, I mean, he would always say, just imagine if a person like Archbishop Tutu or any of those founders of Kagiso Trust were to be confronted with a particular investment or a particular issue that does not fit our value system. And that was something that we actually cherished.
It's interesting having a look at the companies that you're associated with, that you chair now. One of them,
yes,
ArcelorMittal,
yes,
has got into some kind of controversy
yes.
on this. How do you, when you sit in the boardroom and hear the allegations and accusations that are made against ArcelorMittal on the one side, given the value system you come from?
Yes, I think, I mean, obviously this is a matter now that is with the courts to adjudicate. But as far as I can, I mean, establish, I mean, the issues that relate to the mineral rights have nothing to do with ArcelorMittal. And I can tell you that, I mean, one of the things we insisted on, I mean, when we were looking at that BE deal, was to ensure that, I mean, the mineral rights were legitimate. So obviously, I mean, that is a matter that the courts must decide. But I can, in my own heart, say that we have not been associated with anything untoward.
And will not.
And will not.
MTN's interesting. Again, you're on the board there. Seems like you've got a couple of interesting the seats that you occupy at the moment.
Yes, I do. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, sometimes people say when it rains, it pours. So, but again, I mean, with MTN, it's also a matter that I think is still to play itself out. Obviously, I mean, we are not aware of, I mean, the factual correctness of the allegations that are being made. And as you know, I mean, there is a process of investigating the allegations that the board commissioned, and we are waiting for an outcome of that investigation.
Be interesting to see. That's the Hoffman Commission.
That's the Hoffman Commission, yes.
It's an interesting approach that you've taken, though, at MTN to appoint this very esteemed judge, South African originally, who made his name in the UK, to turn over every stone, not really knowing what he might bring up.
I guess I think because the board feels that, I mean, these allegations are quite serious, and we cannot sweep them under the carpet, and therefore we had to appoint somebody, I mean, who will be clearly independent and give, I mean, a factual account to the board of whether this thing is true or not.
Just from a broader perspective, given where you come from, given the influences that there have been on your life, on your business career, how do you feel when you see others, perhaps in our young democracy, who are not following the same disciplines, the same ethics, perhaps?
I think, I mean, in my view, people, I mean, who are in business also have to be exemplary. And I think the issue that confronts this nation of corruption, as everybody says, I mean, it takes two, I mean, to to form a corrupt relationship. And I think, I mean, corruption has made an impression that making money is something that is very simple. And if you look at people who have been successful in business, those people, I mean, have taken time to build those businesses. And that is why, I mean, I think you see many young people, I mean, instead of focusing on, I mean, acquiring knowledge and careers, they seem to think that, you know, you get a tender and tomorrow you're a multimillionaire. There is nothing wrong with, I mean, people being, you know, entrepreneurial. But I think we must not cheapen, I mean, business careers by, I mean, people getting involved in corrupt relationships. And I think this nation has to, I mean, say out and, I mean, say loudly that corruption is unacceptable. And I still believe that, I mean, people can be successful in business without being corrupt.
How do you then view what Ruel Khoza said in his Nedbank chairman statement? It was almost like he went out on a limb. Do you feel he might have gone too far, or that there might have been a different way of raising the flags that he did?
In my view, I mean, I think, Ruel said the right things. And I think maybe he was misunderstood by, our ANC government. And because at the end of the day, I mean, when we feel that our leadership is going astray, I think as citizens of this country, we have a right to say, no, we think that, I mean, you are focusing on the wrong things. And in my view, as an individual, I mean, I think that, I mean, the comments that Mr. Khoza made were appropriate for the time we live in.
Would you make similar comments?
I would, and obviously, I guess the issue is that sometimes we fear that if you, I mean, stand out and make statements, that you may prejudice your business associations. And I think that was one of the issues that came out, for instance, after he had made those statements. But the statements were valid. I mean, we need to have leaders who are exemplary. Because if we want to build a nation of good leaders, I mean, we must correct our leaders when we feel they are going astray.
JJ, there are many people in our country who fear that we are going astray. Where do you see it? Where do you see the balance of power? The good guys winning, or maybe on the back foot?
No, I think, I mean, we live in an interesting time. And in my view, I mean, there are enough checks and balances in this country. And I mean, the fact that when, I mean, we feel aggrieved, I mean, the courts are available. And also we have a very robust civil society that, I mean, when people feel that, things are not going in the right direction, they have platforms to articulate that. It's part of, I guess, growing as a new democracy. And I would not be alarmist and say, the country is falling apart. I don't think it is. But, I mean, we have challenges that, and that we must confront. And we must be able to say no when it's no. And if somebody is doing a good job, we must congratulate them and say, well done.
Almost like you chair the boards, and there are a number of them that you chair at the moment. Do you take the same approach?
I do. I do take, the same approach because I guess, when you are chairman of a company, you are supposed to, play a supporting role to management, helping them when there are issues that are difficult. The CEO must be able to come to you and say, what do you think? And if he does a good job, you must congratulate him. If you feel he must, be reprimanded, you should be able to reprimand him. Within the confines of, a personal relationship between the two of you.
And retain your moral compass.
And retain your moral compass.
Just from a personal perspective, you're still young, 53.
Relatively young. I'm not sure I'm young. My kids think that I'm becoming an old man now.
I see you did do a bachelor's degree in computer.
That is, it's really, at UNISA, it's kind of termed as if it's a computer degree, but it's mainly, focusing on accounting subjects.
And that is an area that's very close to your heart, your chartered
That is-
accountancy
yes,
background.
Yes.
Do you still play a role with SAICA, which you once the chair?
I still do. At the moment, I am involved in the Tutuka Bursary Fund, which is chaired by Sizwe Nxasana, and that's an area that I still think that is an area of great need to encourage and finance black students who are interested to pursue a career in accounting.
And these children who think that you're an old man, are they going into that field as well?
It's always difficult. I don't know what my children really want to do. I hope that at least one of them will follow in my footsteps. But they are very independent young men who do not necessarily listen to what I think. So, yeah, I will try and encourage them, but obviously I can't force them.
Into the future, you, although 53, you and being a young man relative to the Arch and some of our elders in the country, you're regarded by many as an elder statesman of the business environment. You're going to play a role for a long time.
Well, I'm not sure about being regarded as an elder statesman, but obviously I still think that I have energy and a few years ahead of me. And yes, I'd really like to play a role in business for the next maybe 10, 15 years, if my health and my energy keeps me going.
Johnson JJ Njeke, who's the chairman of Resilient Property, AdCorp, MMI Holdings, and a number of the other auditing operations, and of course ArcelorMittal, as you heard before. It's been a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you very much
this morning.
Thanks.
Upper Echelon was brought to you by Deloitte. For innovative thinking and thorough strategic planning, turn to Deloitte.